I sat in the back row of the Caldwell Industries boardroom, watching my sister walk toward the man I loved. She was wearing white, a pristine, silk, floor-length gown that trailed behind her like a bridal train. She had curled her hair into perfect ringlets. She had diamond studs in her ears. The one she made me pawn, my grandmother's ring, to buy her 3 years ago. She looked like a bride. She was not a bride. She was an actress, a predator, a woman who had spent the last 6 months systematically dismantling my life so she could step into my shoes and marry my billionaire boss. The boardroom was packed. 47 executives, 3 television screens mounted on the walls, a live video feed connecting to the London and Singapore offices. And sitting at the head of the massive mahogany table, his face completely unreadable, was Julian Sterling, my boss, my mentor, the man I had worked beside for 8 years, the man who had looked at me across a candlelit dinner table just 4 weeks ago and told me he loved me. I had been invisible to him for years, just another competent assistant climbing the corporate ladder. Then, 6 months ago, he saw me, really saw me. And I fell hard and fast, believing that after all my struggles, I had finally found something pure. But I hadn't counted on my sister, Vanessa. She had been sabotaging me since we were children. She broke my dolls. She stole my boyfriends. She turned our parents against me by crying louder and lying better. But this time, she had gone too far. She had posed as me at a charity gala, used my name and my face to seduce Julian. She had slept with him wearing a wig that matched my hair. She had convinced him, through texts she sent from my stolen phone, that I was embarrassed to be seen with him. And now, 6 months later, she had a wedding video. A video that showed her walking down an aisle in a rented cathedral, exchanging vows with my boss while his back was turned. A video that showed her kissing him at the altar. A video that showed her telling the priest, "I, Vanessa, take you, Julian, to be my lawfully wedded husband." She had put my name on the wedding certificate. She had forged my signature. She had committed fraud, identity theft, and the deepest betrayal a sister could inflict, all to marry a billionaire who never even knew she existed. And now, as she glided toward the front of the boardroom with a triumphant smile, she had no idea what was waiting for her. She had no idea that Julian Sterling had called me 3 days ago. She had no idea that we had been planning this moment together. She had no idea that the wedding video she had so proudly sent to Julian, demanding he acknowledge her as his wife and give her half his empire, was about to be played on every single screen in this room. Before I tell you what happened when that video started rolling and how my sister's life crumbled in exactly 4 minutes and 37 seconds, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. Hit the like button and subscribe to Vindication if you have ever had to stand up and teach a sibling a lesson they will never, ever forget. To understand how we ended up in that boardroom, you have to go back exactly 6 months. 6 months ago, I was eating instant noodles in a cramped studio apartment while my sister was sipping champagne at a rooftop gala she had no invitation to. My name is Elena Hartwell. I am 32 years old. I have worked for Sterling Industries for 8 years, starting as a junior administrative assistant and clawing my way up to chief operations manager through sheer exhaustion and an almost obsessive refusal to fail. Julian Sterling is 53. He inherited the company from his father, but he didn't coast. He expanded it. He took a regional shipping conglomerate and turned it into a global logistics empire worth $2.7 billion. He is brilliant, intense, and utterly devoted to his work. And 6 months ago, he looked at me differently. We were in his private office, reviewing a merger document at midnight. The city lights flickered through the floor-to-ceiling windows. I was tired, my hair falling out of its bun, my glasses slipping down my nose. I was not glamorous. I was not seductive. I was just me. And he reached across the desk, gently pushed my glasses back up, and said, "Elena, do you have any idea how long I've been waiting for you to see me?" I froze. My heart stopped. I had spent 8 years trying to be invisible, trying to prove myself through work alone, trying to ignore the way his voice made my pulse quicken. I didn't say anything. I just stared at him. "I've been watching you," he continued, his voice low and steady. "Not because I'm your boss, because I'm a man who knows what he wants, and I'm tired of pretending I don't want you. We kissed that night. It was soft and terrifying and absolutely perfect. For 2 months, we kept it quiet. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell my friends. And I definitely did not tell my sister. But Vanessa always knew. She had a sixth sense for my happiness. She could smell it on me like blood in the water. She showed up at my apartment unannounced 3 weeks into my relationship with Julian. She was wearing a designer dress I had never seen before, carrying a bottle of wine she definitely couldn't afford, and wearing that smile that meant she was about to take something from me. "Elena," she cooed, brushing past me into my tiny apartment. "You look different, glowing. It's disgusting. What are you hiding?" I told her nothing. I said I had gotten a promotion. I said I was exercising more. I lied badly, and she knew it. That night, while I was in the bathroom, she went through my phone. I had left it on the kitchen counter. A stupid mistake. She found the texts between Julian and me, the late-night conversations, the "I miss you" messages, the photos he sent me from his business trips. She didn't say anything to me that night. She just smiled, hugged me goodbye, and walked out with a copy of the photos saved to her own device. I didn't know what she was planning. I had no idea the depth of her depravity. The charity gala happened 4 weeks later. It was the annual Sterling Foundation Gala, a black tie event attended by the city's elite. Julian had invited me, as his girlfriend, publicly. He was finally ready to show me off, to tell the world that the woman who had been running his operations for years was also the woman who had captured his heart. I was supposed to be there. I had the dress. I had the heels. I had the clutch with the invitation tucked inside. But Vanessa got to me first. She called me the morning of the gala, crying. She said our mother had fallen. She said she was in the hospital. She said I needed to come immediately. I dropped everything. I called Julian and told him I couldn't make it. I told him there was a family emergency. He was disappointed but understanding. "Take care of your family," he said. "I'll see you tomorrow." I rushed to the hospital. My mother wasn't there. There was no emergency. The nurses had no record of my mother being admitted. I called Vanessa. She didn't answer. I called her 30 times. She didn't pick up. I went to her apartment. She wasn't there. I went back to my apartment, confused and furious, and spent the night pacing the floor. I didn't know what she had done. I didn't know where she had gone. I only knew that I had been tricked. The next morning, I went to Julian's penthouse to explain. I rang the bell. He opened the door, but his face was wrong. Cold, guarded. There was none of the warmth I had grown to love. "Julian," I started. "I'm so sorry about last night. My sister. I know about your sister." He cut me off. His voice was flat. "I know everything." I froze. "What do you mean? What do you know?" He stepped aside and pointed to a tablet on his coffee table. On the screen was a photo of Vanessa at the gala, wearing a blonde wig identical to my hair color, wearing the same dress I had bought, wearing the same heels. She looked exactly like me. "She came to me last night," Julian said, his voice tight. "She said she was you. She said your phone had died. She said you wanted to surprise me by coming anyway." I was confused, but she looked like you. She sounded like you. She was wearing your dress. She knew everything about our relationship. I felt the blood drain from my face. "Julian, I didn't." "She told me you had been lying to me," he continued. "She said you were only with me for my money. She said you had a boyfriend in another city. She showed me texts from your phone. They seemed real because she stole my phone. She also kissed me, Elena." The words hit me like a physical blow. I stepped backward, my hand pressed to my chest. "She kissed you?" "I thought she was you," he said, his voice breaking slightly. "She moved so fast. She said you wanted to be spontaneous. She said you had been too nervous to kiss me first. It was a split second, and then she pulled away and said she had to go. I spent the whole night confused and angry, thinking you were playing games with me. I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. My sister had kissed my boyfriend. She had impersonated me. She had stolen my identity and used it to destroy my relationship. "Julian, I am so sorry," I whispered. "She is a monster. She has been doing this to me my entire life. Please, you have to believe me." He looked at me for a long time. His face was unreadable. Finally, he said, "I need time, Elena. I need to think. Please leave." I left. I walked out of his penthouse, went down the elevator, and sat on the curb outside his building, crying so hard that strangers stopped to ask if I needed help. I called Vanessa. She answered on the third ring, laughing. How does it feel? She said. How does it feel to lose everything? Just like that. He's mine now, Elena. He just doesn't know it yet. You're insane, I said. You're a sociopath. And you're pathetic, she replied, her voice dripping with venom. You were never good enough for him. I'm the one who deserves that life. I'm the one who should be wearing diamond earrings, living in a penthouse, flying private. You're just his assistant, Elena. You're nobody. She hung up. I sat on the curb and watched the sun rise over the city I had worked so hard to conquer. For 6 months, I didn't speak to her. For 6 months, Julian and I barely spoke at work. I threw myself into my job, working 16-hour days, refusing to give her the satisfaction of seeing me break. But I was breaking. Quietly. Profoundly. In ways I couldn't show anyone. Then, 3 days ago, my phone buzzed with a name I hadn't seen in months. Julian Sterling. I answered with shaking hands. Elena, he said, his voice softer than I remembered. I need to see you. It's urgent. I met Julian at a coffee shop downtown. Not his penthouse. Not his office. Neutral ground. He was wearing a simple dark sweater and jeans, looking less like a billionaire CEO and more like a man who hadn't slept. Elena, he said, gesturing for me to sit. I owe you an apology. I didn't sit. I was too tense. Julian, what's going on? He slid his phone across the table. There was a video paused on the screen. A wedding video. I met your sister 6 months ago, he said, his face darkening. She came to the gala disguised as you. She kissed me. I was furious at you for a week. And then she started contacting me. From your number. Saying she was sorry for the confusion. Saying she wanted to meet up. She was so convincing. She knew every detail of our relationship. She knew what you had told me. She knew what we had talked about. I sat down heavily. She was using my phone. She stole it from my apartment that night. I know that now, he said. But I didn't know then. I tried to reach you. I called you. You were so cold to me at work. You barely looked at me. I thought you were trying to push me away. Because I thought you had believed her. I thought you hated me for something I didn't do. He reached across the table and took my hand. I was too shocked to pull away. Over the last 6 months, he said, she continued to message me. She kept making excuses about why she couldn't see me in person. She said she was traveling. She said she was sick. She said she needed space. And then, 2 months ago, she stopped messaging me entirely. I frowned. Why would she stop? She wanted you. That was the whole point. Julian smiled. It was a cold, predatory smile I had never seen on his face before. Because she had someone else. Someone richer. She had moved on to her next target. I blinked. What? She sent me a wedding video 2 days ago, he continued. She said she got married. To a man named Harrison something. A tech investor. She sent me the video to prove she was happy and that I had missed my chance. But she made a mistake. He pressed play on the video. I watched in stunned silence as my sister walked down a cathedral aisle. She was wearing a white silk gown. Her hair was curled into perfect ringlets. She had diamond studs in her ears. She looked like she had stepped out of a magazine. And standing at the altar, his back to the camera, was Julian. I gasped. That's you! Yes, he said grimly. That's me. From the charity gala. She inserted my back into her wedding video using AI. She altered my clothes. She altered the setting. She spent thousands of dollars making a fake video that made it look like I married her. I stared at the screen. The video was disturbingly realistic. The lighting, the sound, the movement. If I didn't know better, I would have believed it was real. She sent this to the board, Julian said. Every single executive. The London office. The Singapore office. She sent it with a letter demanding that the company recognize her as my wife, give her access to my accounts, and sign over 50% of my shares. She said she had a marriage certificate. She said she would sue if I didn't comply. I felt sick. A marriage certificate? She forged your signature? She forged everything, Julian confirmed. She created an entire fake marriage with an AI version of me, and now she's trying to extort me from my entire company. I looked up at Julian. There was no fear in his eyes, only cold, calculating fury. I know you haven't spoken to her in 6 months, he said. I know she destroyed your relationship with me. I know she has been a poison in your life since the day you were born. But I need you to do something for me. He leaned across the table, his voice dropping to a whisper. I need you to invite her to the board meeting. I stared at him. What? She believes she has won, Julian said. She believes she has the proof. She believes I am terrified of her. She sent that video to my board, my investors, my global teams. She did it because she is arrogant and stupid. And arrogant, stupid people don't check to see if their victims are actually helpless. He pulled a second file out of his briefcase, a folder crammed with documents. She's been building a fake identity around your name for months, he said. She's opened credit cards in your name. She's taken out loans. She's committed fraud across 7 states. I had my lawyers dig into her finances. I had private investigators follow her. I know everything about her, and I have the proof to destroy her. He looked me directly in the eyes. But I need her to walk into that boardroom believing she has already won. I need her to walk in with her head high, expecting us to grovel. And then I need her to sit down and watch her own wedding video play on all 3 screens while I explain, in detail, every crime she has ever committed. My heart was pounding. You want to trap her. I want to destroy her, Julian corrected, the way she tried to destroy you. And I want you to be there when it happens. Are you with me? I looked at the folder. I looked at Julian. And for the first time in 6 months, I smiled. I'm with you. I called Vanessa the next morning. She answered on the first ring, her voice dripping with smug satisfaction. Elena, finally crawling back to beg for forgiveness? I swallowed my pride and forced myself to sound broken. Vanessa, please, I said, letting my voice crack. I can't do this anymore. I'm so tired. You win, okay? You win. There was a pause. I could hear her smiling through the silence. Say it again, she purred. You win, I repeated. I need to see you. I need to tell you something. Please, it's important, she laughed. Oh, now you want to meet? Now that I've gotten everything you ever wanted? I'll give you something, I said, carefully playing my part. I'll give you Julian's phone records, the ones from before he knew you. He said things about you, things you probably want to hear. Vanessa was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Fine, I'll come to the Sterling Industries building tomorrow. Boardroom, 10 a.m. Don't be late. The line went dead. The next day, I watched from the back of the boardroom as my sister walked in. She looked magnificent. A sleek white power suit, her hair flowing down her back, her heels clicking against the marble floor like a death knell. She was radiating confidence. She was radiating triumph. She sat at the head of the table, not beside Julian, at the head. She had placed herself in the position of power. I sent you a video, she announced loudly, looking around the room at the 47 executives. I assume you all watched it. I assume you all know I am Mrs. Julian Sterling, and I assume you are all here today to recognize my legal rights. Julian stood up slowly from his chair at the opposite end of the table. He didn't look angry. He didn't look afraid. He looked completely, terrifyingly calm. Thank you for coming, Vanessa, he said. Or should I call you Elena? Vanessa froze. Her smile faltered for just a fraction of a second, but she recovered quickly. My name is Elena. I've always been Elena. I'm your wife, Julian. Interesting, Julian said, walking around the table toward the screens. Because I met Elena Hartwell 8 years ago. I hired her. I promoted her. I fell in love with her. And she is sitting right over there. He pointed to me. I stood up from the back row, walking forward into the light. Vanessa's face went pale. For the first time, I saw genuine fear in her eyes. You, she hissed. What are you doing here? I'm watching, I said quietly. I'm watching you fall. Julian pressed a button on the table. The first screen flickered to life. Let's begin with the wedding video, he said. Since you went to so much trouble to create it, the video started playing. Vanessa on the aisle. Vanessa at the altar. Vanessa kissing a man whose back was to the camera. Beautiful, Julian commented. AI technology is truly remarkable. Look at that lighting. Look at that movement. Look at how seamlessly they inserted my head onto another man's body. Wait, one of the executives said, leaning forward. That's not a real video? It's a fabrication, Julian said calmly. And it's not the only one. Vanessa has been forging documents, committing identity theft, and running a massive fraud campaign for 6 months. Where's your proof? A junior executive demanded. Julian smiled. I'm glad you asked. He tapped the table. The video transitioned to a side-by-side comparison of Vanessa's driver's license, her passport, and my own, side by side. The faces were identical in construction, the same eye color, the same hair color, the same smile. But the bone structures were subtly different. Vanessa Hartwell, Julian announced, has been using her sister's identity to open credit cards, secure loans, and commit fraud across 7 states. She has racked up $340,000 in debt in her sister's name. She has impersonated Elena in professional settings. She attempted to commit bigamy by forging a marriage certificate with my signature. The boardroom erupted. Whispers. Gasps. The London video feed flickered with nervous movement. Vanessa jumped to her feet. This is outrageous! This is slander! Sit down, Vanessa, Julian said, his voice dropping to a terrifying cold whisper. Or I'll show them the next video. She didn't sit down. She stood frozen, her hands gripping the edge of the table. The next video, Julian continued, shows you confessing to a private investigator that you stole your sister's identity and planned to extort me. I have the transcript. I have the audio recording. And I have the warrant for your arrest waiting on my desk. Vanessa's face contorted. She looked around the room, realizing that every single person in that boardroom was looking at her with disgust, pity, or outright contempt. This is entrapment, she spat. You set me up. No, Vanessa, I said, stepping forward. You set yourself up. You have been setting yourself up your entire life. You broke my dolls. You stole my boyfriends. You turned our parents against me. And now you tried to steal my career, my identity, and the man I love. But you are done. I walked closer to her. She was shaking. Her eyes were wild, flickering back and forth between Julian and me. I will destroy you, she hissed. I will destroy everything you love. I will tell the media. I will tell the board. I will make sure you never. Who is Harrison? Julian interrupted. Vanessa's mouth snapped shut. Her face went white. Harrison, Julian repeated. The tech investor you were planning to marry next. The one you were going to extort after you finished with me. I have the receipts. I have the emails. I have the plane tickets you booked for your second wedding. She opened her mouth to speak, but nothing came out. Security, Julian said calmly. Please escort Miss Hartwell out of the building. Federal agents are waiting in the lobby. 2 massive security guards stepped forward. They took Vanessa by the arms and lifted her out of her chair. She screamed. She fought. She kicked and thrashed and clawed at them like an animal. You can't do this to me, she shrieked. I'm your sister. I'm your blood. You can't. I stepped in front of her, looking directly into her eyes. Blood is just a liquid, I said calmly. Loyalty is a choice, and you chose wrong. The guards dragged her out. Her screams echoed down the corridor, fading into the distance. The boardroom was silent. Every executive stared at Julian and me, their faces a mixture of shock and admiration. Julian turned to the room. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the disruption. The wedding video was an act of fraud. My marriage to Elena Hartwell, the real Elena Hartwell, is not recognized by law or by me. The company is not at risk, and Miss Hartwell will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. He walked over to me, took my hand, and turned to face the board. Now, he said, shall we get back to business? 6 months passed after the storm tore through the Sterling Industries boardroom. Vanessa was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison for identity theft, fraud, extortion, and forgery. The judge called her actions calculated, predatory, and morally bankrupt. She sat in the courtroom, her designer clothes replaced by a standard prison uniform, her carefully curled hair now flat and lifeless. She didn't look at me once. She couldn't. My mother called me after the trial. She was crying. She said Vanessa had always been difficult. She said she had always known something was wrong. She apologized for not stopping it sooner. She asked for my forgiveness. I gave it to her. But I also told her that Vanessa was no longer part of my life, that I would not be visiting her in prison, that I would not be sending her money, writing her letters, or forgiving her. Some fractures cannot be healed. Some bridges cannot be rebuilt. And some sisters are better off left in the past. Julian and I didn't rush into anything. We took it slow. We talked. We healed. We went to therapy together. He asked me to marry him 6 months after Vanessa's trial. Not in a grand boardroom. Not in front of witnesses. Just us. In his penthouse, with the city lights flickering below and the stars visible through the glass ceiling. I loved you before, he said, holding a ring. But I didn't fight for you. I let her manipulate me. I let her destroy what we had. I am never making that mistake again. I said yes. And for the first time in my life, I had a partner who truly saw me. Not my sister's shadow. Not my family's dysfunction. Just me. We had a small wedding. No cathedral. No grand ceremony. Just a handful of friends and our closest colleagues. I wore a simple white dress. I carried a bouquet of wildflowers. I walked down an aisle that was only 10 feet long, but it was perfect because it was real. I used to think that family was unbreakable. I used to think that blood meant something sacred, something that could never be erased. But I learned the hard way that blood is just a liquid. It carries oxygen. It carries nutrients. It doesn't carry loyalty. My sister tried to marry the man I loved. She tried to steal my identity, my career, and my future. She committed crimes that should have ruined her completely, and she lost everything. But I didn't lose anything. I gained clarity. I gained freedom. I gained a partner who would fight for me. And most importantly, I gained myself. Family is not defined by a shared DNA. It is defined by unwavering loyalty. It is defined by the people who stand beside you when the world falls apart. My sister fell, but I rose. And I will never, ever let anyone drag me back down. Because I am my father's daughter. I am my mother's legacy. I am a woman who survived the worst betrayal imaginable and came out stronger. And when they ask me who I am, I'll smile and answer softly. I am the one who got away. I am the one who won. I am the one who finally, after all these years, learned to love herself. Thank you for watching this story on Vindication. If you have ever had to cut toxic family out of your life, drop a comment below. Let me know where you're watching from and how you found the strength to walk away. Don't forget to subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another story of justice, revenge, and vindication. See you in the next one.